Hey, everybody. Welcome into the counter show. Here's what's upcoming for today's podcast. Toyota just revealed an old favorite. Little face change, little extra attitude with it. We're going to talk about that. Shell Oil, they're going electric. We'll tell you why. We do hate to say that we told you so. The cost of developing an electric vehicle seems to be really, really expensive. And how ugly could the Cybertruck get, guys? We are going to get into that a little bit. The EPA is really putting the strings a lot tighter. We're going to talk some about that. And then if you're into Mustangs, the 2024 configurator is now live. All of that coming up on today's podcast right after this. Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Counter Show. Keith, my good friend, podcasting partner in crime.
Hello, friends. That includes you, Jay.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man.
Good to see you. Good to be seen. Good to be here live.
Pardon me.
Wait a minute. I know time zones are we're a little far apart, but is it that time of day for you already?
It is somewhere. Yeah.
Been one of those days?
Well, it's always, it's yeah, you don't. This could be like sparkling.
What is it?
Fiji water or something. It's one I picked up at in the Charleston area from a brewery called Estuary, which I've become quite fond of.
Yeah.
And this is their Lima de Noche, which is a Mexican-style lager with lime. It's really good.
Yeah.
And, we're going to talk about some... I heard we were talking about tacos today.
We are talking about tacos today.
So I just, I wanted to have a good Mexican beer to go with it.
That's perfect, man. Perfect timing. And we'll get into a little bit of the taco talk here soon. Hey, we always kind of catch up on things here. I think that, first of all,
oh my gosh! Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I can't. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. So first of all, though, we got to thank our listeners again, dude. I mean, am I right? Hey,
yeah.
Everybody, anybody out there, if you're catching this first show, we've been around for a while. We've been doing this for several years, and we're like well over 100 podcasts, and we're going to be streaming a little differently here than normal.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
right?
We're going to, as of this one, I think this podcast is going to be on YouTube in their new podcast channel, meaning like you can see, if you would rather watch us, and you can see me waving my arms around and stuff.
Yeah, getting crazy.
Yeah.
Which you usually do.
It's on our same YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/partscountergurus.
Yeah.
And then there's a podcast tab now. And you can just go over there. We're not going all the way back to episode 1. We do have video from a lot of those, but for now we're gonna Sorry, you got me excited, Jay.
No, it's great. That's what I wanted to bring up to our listeners, is that this is not our first rodeo with a video podcast. We did it for years before there was any YouTube offering to put that out there as a podcast per se. But we were on several platforms, many platforms, the most popular platforms. And Keith and I are always trying to move with the targets and new technology and new platforms and new ways to reach our audiences. It seems like it's becoming a challenge to just kind of keep up with that. So it's like every 3 months something changes. So.
Yeah, and YouTube has decided they're making a concerted effort to go after video podcasting or vodcasting or so they're we just went, well, sure, because we're already we know how to do that.
We do. We have fun with it too, man. And the other thing too is that if for all you longtime listeners, longtime fans, if you haven't been over to our website lately, please do so. We've made some changes there too. It's a little under construction here and there, so you're going to see some final tweaks over the next coming weeks, maybe month or two, until we get it completely finalized. But we hope you like it. It's easy to navigate. You can get to just about anything you want to that we mention on these podcasts. So please make sure, as usual, we ask you to continue to listen. If you this is your first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button here on the YouTube channel. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button for whatever podcast platform that you use. And don't forget to leave reviews, comments, opinions on either of these, because that really, really helps the algorithm for us and helps us get more listeners.
Remember what Patrick Swayze's character said in Roadhouse.
And? Be
nice.
Yes. Be nice. You have to, guys. Yeah. I mean, we'll take care of you if you're not. So I'm just saying, just forewarning. But we welcome in any review and comment, and we really appreciate it. So we are an automotive channel, obviously centric, and we get into the automotive world, the overlanding world, which we'll get into a little bit of that today. You just happen to be catching us in a moment where we're talking a little bit more about that today than we usually do. But we just kind of keep you up to speed on what's going on out there in the automotive industry.
So check this out, man. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting on my hands just because I couldn't wait. Not just for you, but for every. Oh, by the way, if you like the music on this, that's Racelon.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to them for doing the show music. You can Google them, check them out.
Which, by the way, I traded a few texts on WhatsApp with my good friend Leonardo, who happens to be the lead vocalist of that band, just last weekend. And I let him know we gave him some love last weekend as well, so he's always excited for that.
So Smokey and the Bandit is back streaming on Netflix.
I saw that. I hate to say I told you so. Right. I was damn tempted to stream that this weekend.
One of our favorite call outs for so many reasons on this show that, Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did I tell you how much Comcast sucks? have I told
I mean,
you
do we just need to start doing a weekly segment on here's the latest reason why Comcast sucks?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous, man. I mean, recently, we've I've upgraded. I've got like the fastest speed you can get possibly, but I had a little trouble in my studio. I have a little remote box for my little TV here, and here I have two boxes. So I called them and I needed to get it replaced, and so they shipped me two, not one, and only needed one. So I replaced the bad one, took it back to the location over near where I live. It's about 30 miles away, just to make sure they got it in their hands so I could explain to them that they screwed up. And so after I did that, I got on the horn and wanted to make sure that they were aware that I only had two boxes and not four. They said, yeah, sure, we got it all taken care of. Well, guess what? I got my statement, and I'm being charged for 4 boxes. As well as partial service on those extra 2 boxes. I had to explain to him that I don't have those boxes. Can you please remove all the charges, yada, yada. Also a shipping fee that I did not need to be responsible for. So they did really, really good. They adjusted it. It was immediate adjustment. I got it fixed. But here's the thing. The gal I was talking to, she says, hey, you know what? I can save you a little bit of money. You really don't need this extra internet speed. I'm taking that off. Right. I said, no, don't do that. Please go back to X month and look at what my services were and duplicate that. That was the easiest thing that I could come up with on how to explain to them what I need. Don't pay attention to anything here. Pay attention to this over here. Of course, there was a little bit of a language barrier, so I felt that it was best to say, you see this statement? You need to make this statement look like that statement. And it worked. I finally figured it out, man. Round peg in a round hole, man.
Tune in next week when we have yet another. I mean, I could go on about these clowns too.
Sorry, that's my rant for the day.
So I have a. I guess you'd call it a gripe. It's okay. It's got kind of a recurring theme in my life.
Well, we both do.
So we got some Toyota news coming up. I took my beloved FJ in. Oh, okay. So hey everybody. So for those of you that don't know, Jay has extensive experience in R&D in the automotive industry. Is that a fair statement, Jay?
I would say that's a fair statement, yes. And
I know this, right? And so, I've got Jay on speed dial anytime there's like sometimes we save it for the show and I put him to work like when the record button is mashed. But my beloved FJ had a recall and it had to do with the fuel pump, okay? And so, you really have to go to a dealer, like a factory authorized service center, to get these recalls done under the terms of the recall by Toyota. So that's what I did, right? And I take it to this local dealer and I kind of gave him the side eye and I just went, hey man, this is a 2014 Ultimate Edition. There's 2,500 of them ever made. Let's not shoot from the hip on this one. And I got, what I got? Oh, we would never, what? Right? And I went, yeah, well, the skid plate under there that you have to take out to change the oil, you guys stripped that out. You took the TRD beadlock wheels that had, the custom valve caps on them from the factory and you threw them away. I mean, there's lots of shooting to the hip, dude, that this place has done on that vehicle. So don't act shocked. So I think they did an okay job, but of course they come back with, well, you need new spark plugs. These are 60,000 mile spark plugs. Well, you need this, power steering flush. You need, it was a long list, right? And interestingly enough, I, pulled open the book that came from the people that make it, that show me when they think I should be changing these things. It's called a warranty and maintenance guide. Do you know they put those in the glove box with new cars, Jay?
They do. Yeah, that's handy.
But I took it over to my guy who used to work for Lexus as a mechanic, and he started his own repair shop. Mm-hmm. And I went, hey, what do you think on this list? And he looked at half of it, and he went, yeah, man, the spark plugs are 120,000 miles. You're at 50K. I honestly don't know why they would tell you that, or the power steering flush. And I went, oh, I do.
Yeah,
because you
have the iridium
I think
plugs.
So.
Yeah,
but they're probably NGKs or Denso. I don't know. Anyway, here's the point that I'm trying to make. Okay, we did this to ourselves when we started advertising, when we run car commercials on television that don't talk about anything but Bluetooth connectivity.
Right,
people stop caring about what's under the hood, right? And so. Like I was telling my wife, honestly, most people are going to see that readout from the dealer and they're going to go, I guess I should probably do that if you say it's time to do that, right? And that's $500 to $700 worth of extra money in their pocket, and people aren't going to know the difference.
Right.
And I have a real problem with that, and hey, dealerships, that is exactly why people hate you. Because you pull this crap.
They do.
It's dishonest.
It's in their DNA. They have to do it. It's upselling. And honestly, man, I'll be. It doesn't make them.
But insinuating that it's time for me to replace things that aren't due for maintenance.
That I do agree with you. That's poor. That's not good. I don't think you should be. If you have a schedule, a maintenance schedule to abide by, they should not be pulling you in and saying, hey man, you should be changing this. If the factory says this is it, if you have a miss or it's just getting really shabby fuel economy, you've got just all kind of weird stuff going on running, it's just not running right, then you probably start looking at pulling some plugs. Yeah, but
this is not that. This is my guy goes, it looks new. It's like a new car. And I went, I kind of try to keep it that way. And then you get, how can we squeeze this, this guy at the other place for a little extra?
Right. I kind of liken that to the old, nowadays it's the in-cabin air filter you've got to get replaced so frequently now,
Well, yeah.
It's good to do it, don't get me wrong, but it's like you look at the cost of the filter and then where it's at and then the labor that they charge you to replace it. It's ridiculous. It's easy money for them. I get it.
Well, yeah, in a lot of cases, you just pop open the glove box and it's
you
kind of
drop it down.
That.
It's like right there typically. I mean, so yeah, I mean, again, they're in the business to make money, man, and they want repeat customers. And some people don't. They don't squabble over that, and I think that's what they bank on, And those are people who are not as in tune with their vehicle as you and I.
Well,
are.
they're buying it for the Bluetooth
industry,
connectivity, and it's like, well, the guy at the dealership told me that I needed to replace my, in-cabin air filter every month, so I'm going to do that. Well, they don't know any better.
Right, and I mean, look, if it's under warranty and they want to replace stuff,
good luck with that. Most of them aren't doing that anymore.
Right. I mean. Yeah, I mean I will say this: the experience that I had with the first Hyundai that I ever purchased was a 2010 Tucson, which I still have today. And I mean, I drive it because it's a great little commuter, great on gas, always has been. It's comfortable, it's easy to drive, very well maintained. I mean, I honestly, man, I didn't have to put plugs in that thing until I think I was well over 140,000 miles when I put
probably
in.
I could see that being
And they when they pulled the plugs, my guys, I could have done it myself, but I don't do that anymore. I find it much easier to pay somebody else.
Well, I don't have time. That's what it comes down to.
And I mean, plus certain, I live in a community that does not allow specific types of actions to be taken on vehicles in their parking lot. So right.
They don't want a little Sanford and Son action in the in the parking lot.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so funny, man. But it's true. I mean, keeping it down, man. Keeping it down. Anyway, sorry you had to deal with that, dude. It's crazy. I mean, we as a consumer, the advice that Keith and I have always given to anyone, no matter what product we're talking about, do your due diligence, do your homework. If you're taking something in for a service, do a little bit of research before you go in. That way you're a little bit more in the know. Honestly, it'll do yourself some good. So there you go. Anyway.
We've been trying to reach you concerning your car's extended warranty.
Right.
You should have
the best meme that I've ever seen for that is the guy standing at the urinal, and
right.
walks up. Hey, we've been trying to reach you,
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so we've got some exciting stuff coming down the pike. I want to give you guys a heads up on that. I personally just got off the horn with our good friend Neil Chen. I say horn. We've been back and forth.
It's
trading.
on a horn. It counts. It's through the phone.
Just chatting with him about the upcoming.
Hey, what you guys do on that phone system in your own time is, let's just keep that off the air.
Exactly. But we've got the Electrify Expo this year that's going to be debuting this year in Long Beach, California in May. Then has one. Is it May? Was that right?
Well, I don't know. You're the guy that was on the horn.
I'm the guru. Is that what you're telling me, man?
I mean, you're the guy with the horn.
I'm sitting here bringing up the story and stuff and can't even, do my due diligence. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. So Long Beach is May 19 through 21.
We're going to one of these, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be going to the Seattle show, which is in September. And we'll just give you the list. So there's a Long Beach, May 19, 21. The San Francisco show is June 24 through 25. DC, July 22nd and 23rd. New York, August 12, 13. Seattle, September 9, 10. Miami, October 14, 15. Austin, November 10 and 12. Anyway.
Did you guys notice how he went, I'm going to be going to the Seattle show? It's sort of like,
that's a done deal. You can
do what you want, man. I'm going to be at the Seattle show.
Yeah. So that I'm going to be there, and I'm hoping you will be there too. But I know that we have some challenges that time of year, so we'll see what happens. We're
trying to get into a lot of stuff. We're trying to do some overland shows. We're trying to, of course, get back to SEMA, and that show's growing. We're trying to do some RV show. I mean, This is a good. I mean, it's good to be us. It's tough to have to pick.
Yeah, it is. Can't keep up with it. I mean, I know we're doing SEMA, like you said. We'll be doing that one. Which wish us luck on that one. We'll see how that turns out this year.
Things will be different.
Things will be a little different this year. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so Neil's going to come on after the first show of the season, the Long Beach show, in between that one and the San Fran show, because he wants to give us some insight on how that show went, what to expect for the upcoming shows for the rest of the season. If you have not watched any of our previous podcasts or any of the videos that we put out on Neil, please do yourself a favor. Go there, go to partscounterguru.com and check that out. Stay on youtube.com/partscountergurus, and you'll find some Neil Chen videos. The one we shot with him at SEMA with his electrified, the F-150 Lightning that he custom built, and then many other cars that he had there for that particular show. And then he just recently became the marketing director for Electrify Expo. So we're excited to have Neil on. He is an exciting guy to listen to. He's very knowledgeable in the industry. I mean, he goes back to the early drifting days, the early Fast and Furious stuff. I mean, he was part of that core group of people that were builders for that franchise, who packed up everything he owned from Florida and moved out to California to be closer to where all the action's at, and the rest is history. So we're delighted to have him back on. So make sure you guys are subscribed and are paying attention to the rollout of these episodes. So exciting stuff. Okay, so for the fans, let's talk tacos.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
You don't have your sombrero.
I like
on.
soft shell. I like
no mariachi, man. I think
little,
you'd had some mariachi
cilantro.
pulled up here. You don't
Oh,
have any
man.
mariachi?
Yeah.
Where are you at? I mean, you talk all this
Clearly,
talk.
I missed that one. I guess that was a big miss, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, are you there yet?
No, I don't know that I have.
That's okay. It's all right.
I'm wishing I did.
Just everybody understand. Anybody
I'll find
in the
it in 5 minutes and comedically make a point when it's inappropriate. How's that?
Okay, that's perfect. Anybody in the industry knows what we're talking about when we talk about tacos. So the Toyota Tacoma, guys, has been probably one of the best vehicles that Toyota has consistently built for their brand. It goes way back, and it came in many shapes and forms over the years. They've been a bit stagnant, wouldn't you say, over the last decade?
Yeah, and that happens, like this does happen with Toyota. Decades go by. The 4Runner, kind of just a brick through water but it sells well. People love it. Why change it, right? I mean,
exactly. It's true.
You're talking about a vehicle that still has a turnkey, if I'm not mistaken. They might have gone to push button start this year, but they were way behind the curve on a lot of tech. But who cares? It's it's an off-road. Yeah,
that's exactly right, Keith.
It's a brick.
Very, very good point you make, and
well, that's why I'm here, man.
Yes, just about everybody
you
that
said
I
bring your
talked to,
points.
Right. Just about everybody I've talked to over the last couple of years in search of pickup truck specifically, kept leaning more towards the Tacoma and bit the bullet and bought them. One specific friend of mine that Keith and I know here locally, a good friend of mine, allowed me to help him install an anytime front and rear camera on a Tacoma recently, and his is a 2022. Beautiful truck. Which, by the way, you can check that video out over on youtube.com/partscounterguru, and it's an anytime front and rear camera on an install on a Tacoma. Pretty good product, so go check that video out. But anyway, so one thing that Keith and I last SEMA show in 2022, we've been preaching this. If you've been listening to us for a while, you know that Keith and I watch very closely the trends in the industry. And the growth of the overlanding industry has just been, when I say exponential, I'm talking about extra exponential, to the point to where they now have their own haul.
Well, hall is misleading. Like, it's a freaking convention center building.
What would you say, football size?
Oh, yeah.
Football field size?
Probably several, easily. Yeah.
Good point. I mean, a lot of stuff there. So anything to do with RV, camping, overlanding, you name it, it's in that hall. It's in the West Hall. If you have the privilege of being able to attend that, make sure you go there if you're into overlanding. But what we saw last year, we also cover a lot of the pressers. Typically, the first day of the show is when all of the big OEMs will give their pressers if they're there.
Toyota, GM,
all of
Ford.
them.
If they're there,
Dodge,
Ford wasn't. Yep. Dodge. Yep.
You did a VW one this year. This past year. Which
Tanner
was pretty
Faust.
Cool.
Yep.
Yep. Which was really cool. But the one thing that we noticed with Toyota this year is they are going heavy, and the Tundra is a fine example of that. They came out with what they call the Trail Hunter trim for the Tundra, and it's a pretty awesome trim. I mean, it comes with it keeps you from having to go out and spend, say $8,000 to $10,000 to $12,000 in aftermarket product. Toyota is forward thinking and going, okay, well, why can't we grab some of that business and let's just build it out of the chute? And so they developed this TRD, Toyota Racing Development Trail Hunter version for the Tundra. And guess what, guys? It looks like it's going to be coming to the Tacoma in 2024.
Yeah, now this was interesting to me because I thought the Tacoma is so much more popular in the overland, like rooftop tent. Like, you just see, it's never ending, the number of Tacomas you see at these shows that are just set up with decked boxes and rooftop, iCamper type, tents and storage racks. And I mean, just the cool, like really cool. But you see some of that on the full-size Tundra, but it's interesting to me that Toyota chose to premiere this first on the full-size Tundra. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, yeah, that makes sense from the Asian market because they are very, very careful to mess with things if they aren't sure it's going to be a huge hit. And that Tacoma is such a big seller for them.
Yeah.
And you kind of alluded to this early in the segment, in saying that it's been a while since they've changed things. And that's not an accident. And I would say it's not even, it's intentional. It's not
they did it
because they just haven't gotten around to it.
Well, they did it with the Tundra, right? So, the Tundra, they brought the new platform. And so they're doing the same thing with the Tacoma. And, so they changed up the engine, the offering for the Tacoma, the Tundra last year, which was the iForce 3.5 V6 liter, which is a twin turbo engine, I believe, option, which is the better than the V6 that's coming in the Tacoma right now. So my understanding is there will be an option for that on this Tacoma, which might be a lot. Some might say it might be a little bit of overkill, but I'll take all I can get. I mean, shoot, man, Jeep is cramming Hemis into those, so in the Rubicons and stuff. So why not, right?
You would rather have something purpose built like this be more overpowered than. And I know I get so much flack for using the term underpowered in our videos that when I do a review on a car and it's like it's got like a smaller engine in it, and you get the people that go, I've had one and it's got 140,000 miles on it, it's still running great. I know they're better, they're definitely built better now than they have been in the past, but still I would rather have that engine work less hard and have a bigger engine in there.
Absolutely. What's really cool though, Keith, is that again, Toyota has recognized the growth in that market. So we could tell with the presentation at SEMA last year, especially with the Tacoma trailer, the utility trailer, right?
Yeah. Well, so and Tacozilla the year before.
Yeah, the Tacozilla the year before. And then so also, and let's refer back to somebody else we met last year at SEMA, which was Skinny Guy Campers. And they have the drop-in bed. It's not really a rooftop camper, but it's the same principle. But it's an all-inclusive unit that has plumbing, It has gas. It's got everything. I mean, they even have a toilet and a shower option in this. It's just amazing. You can also check that video out on our YouTube channel.
Two unique things about those guys. Number one, it's cab height, so that's not always the case in the rooftop stuff.
It's cab height and bed length.
And bed length, yeah.
Correct.
And then they're using really high quality components. And you have to remember, these guys are guys that have been in that industry for a long time. And they've seen what cannot work well, and they've chosen to focus on quality.
Absolutely. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a history there, that Jason Bontrager is the founder of Skinny Guy Campers, and he comes from, his grandparents started Jayco Campers, man. I mean, so the lineage it's just we know him. He's a great guy, and I'll tell you this, he loves what he's doing, and he just always had that thing of wanting to put his own thing out there, and he did, and he's got some great people that he's working with on his team, Donovan being one, and then Justin. And I know we're getting a little sidetracked from the Tacoma, but the reason why I wanted to kind of meld these two together,
it's camping season.
It's camping season, but not only that, we saw Toyota bring out that utility type trailer, which had a rooftop tent on it.
Yep.
But now what Skinny Guy Campers has also done is they've developed one that will work in a trailer just like that. So they're not missing a beat there. I mean, they're selling products for the Tacoma, the Rivian, the Jeep Gladiator, full-size pickups, mid-size pickups, you name it, 5, 6, 7 footers. They got it all. So go check out Skinny Guy Campers also. And we hope to have those guys on the show at some point this camping season as well. They're super busy. You can probably find them at any overlanding expo that might be in your area, and Keith and I are working hard to try to figure out how to make that happen for us this year as well. But anyway, it's just exciting to see Toyota kind of partner up with, for example, like the bumper that they showed in the press release. It's an ARB. I mean, these are high quality. And
I like it. The ARB guys are, if I could get it out. That's good quality stuff. I have some of their stuff. I like it.
So what you're going to get with the Trail Hunter specific models will be a specific suspension, skid plates, specialty roof racks, fridge, rooftop tent, and all that sort of good stuff, which is everything you need to just kind of fill your tank and go off road and get way out and go run into some of your friends and go have a party, man.
I got a prediction.
Let's hear it.
Okay,
I'm ready, man.
We'll keep Bert around. Now, let me just leave a little 3-second pause right here, so when I refer back to this clip in 6 months, I'll insert it right here.
Okay.
The next Bronco at SEMA this year will be the Tacoma.
Yeah, it's a good thought. That's a good... and you know what? I bet we will hear that.
So, we did a whole... Like, it was 2 years ago that the Bronco was like it took over SEMA, and it was before the average consumer could really get their hands on one, and it was close to 100 that we saw at SEMA. Yeah. I think the Tacoma will be that this time around.
I do too. I agree with you. I didn't even put that thought in my mind until you just said something, but it's time for the Bronco to move over. And the Bronco has definitely had its time in the limelight over the last couple of seasons. And I think that they have proven that it's a vehicle that is worthy of getting off road and having some fun with it, but they're also not immune. Ford's not immune to some of the issues that they had bringing that thing to the market through COVID and stuff. And they still have problems with this thing, guys. I mean, Keith and I you've heard us say it over and over again on this podcast. Why in the hell they don't have a manual transmission for the larger displacement engine yet, I don't know.
Well, when dealers are able to sell them at sticker,
right,
and there's a waiting line out the door, they don't have to worry about that. But at some point, there will be a reckoning, and I think that day is coming sooner versus later.
I think so.
Sooner than later. Sorry.
Yeah. So good luck, Toyota. We think you've done the right thing. We're excited to see what the final reveal will reveal of how the Tacoma looks. If you're going for an in-your-face look, I hope it doesn't resemble exactly the Tundra, because that's a big box, square box now. It's not ugly, it's just not my style, man. I mean, I liked, I like the 80, 87, 88, 89, 90 Tacoma models look great. I love those things. Owned one. And then maybe the 2010-ish, 2011-ish, somewhere around there, they made another change, I think, and I really like that body style. But then they haven't changed anything in forever, so we'll see.
There's your man on the street. Happens. Get some pictures of it as soon as they drop it, and then just go out there and ask people what they think and turn the camera on.
Yeah, hey, leave us a comment, guys. Leave us a comment down in the comments. Leave us a comment on our website for the podcast there, too, the audio podcast, and see if you want a man on the street kind of an interview on what's coming, or what things look like, or what people want to see. I'll do it. I'll be glad.
You got a mariachi hat? I told you, man, I'd wait till it wasn't appropriate and I'd drop it in.
I know what I'm eating tonight, man. I know what I'm eating tonight. Hey, I'll have the fishbowl margarita and keep the chips and salsa coming. Yeah, there you go. So, hey, guys, you've heard Keith and I talk about this before. You can go to youtube.com/Parts County Gurus. If you're watching this, you're already there. Make sure you subscribe. But kind of scroll down a little bit. Maybe like a year ago, we did a piece on Shell.
I hate to say I told you so.
Yeah, Shell Motor Oil, Shell Oil Company.
The same company that has the yellow Shell on the sign at the gas station. That one?
Yeah, the guys with the pumps. Yeah, those guys.
Right. Okay. Well, I just know because it's like.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah. They sell more than beer at the C-store.
Yeah, they do sell more than beer, right? Okay. You might even be able to get a pack of sushi on
beer
on the
and chips. Oh, gas station sushi.
Not good.
That's a good rock band name.
It is. So
maybe indie alternative. I'm thinking
The times are telling, guys. The times are telling.
Sorry, are you trying to get somewhere here?
I am trying to get somewhere here. The times are telling. Like I said, we talked about this a year ago, and again, I don't know that Keith and I are the biggest of fans of the hastiness in which we are approaching the electrification of vehicles, because there's so much more to deal with before we can get there. But a sign that progress is being made in that industry and that everybody's paying attention, this would be one of those stories, right, Keith?
Yeah, so look, everybody's got an opinion on EVs, including us. We do try to just get to the facts here. But whether you like them or you don't, they're out there. And honestly, like, I can remember a few years back on summer vacations, we would count Teslas or Rivians. And that game got to the point where in recent years, it's like, well, that's dumb. You're going to be into the hundreds before we even go 100 miles. And so state governments have got into the charging station game. Everybody's getting into this charging station game. Walmart's in the game. Whole Foods is in the game. There's in my hometown here, Safeway's in the game.
Dealerships.
Car dealerships. You're right. We actually jokingly, and I still think we should do this, we were going to take a mismatch. Like, we were going to take a Ford Mach-E over to the Nissan charging station and just leave the dealer window sticker on it and just just film the reactions. But the point is, just like any fuel, right? Whether it's gas or electric, it's not free. I mean, these companies like Shell are in it for profit,
right?
And the Rust Belt states said the same thing. They were like, look, somebody's going to make money on this. We might as well do it. We might as well get there first. Let's do state network charging stations. And Shell, no dummy here, has said, look, whether or not our petroleum business is going to be what it was in 10 years, that remains to be seen.
Right.
However, there's enough electric vehicles on the road now that need to be charged that there's an opportunity there. And I think that's what's driving this.
Absolutely. They recognize that, their future has got to change. And what is my famous line? Innovator, go home. And, there will always be the need for fossil fuel. In my lifetime, I know there will.
Oh, yeah. You're never going to get rid of, like especially your big like RV, diesel engines and, it's never going to be zero. And stay tuned because we got more to say on that topic very soon.
That's exactly where I wanted to go with that. We're going to be talking about that a little later.
Sorry, Jay, did I step on your point?
No, not at all. If anything, that's what we do best is step on each other, and that's
What
great.
a dumb thing to do. I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
All right, anyway.
So Shell, Shell USA, which is a subsidiary of Shell PLC, the big company, announced the acquisition of Volta Incorporated in an all-cash transaction valued at approximately $169 million US.
Yeah,
now,
so two things here. Shell, first of all, said, we're not going to start from scratch. It's better for us to do this with a company that's already got some trial and error underway. They've done the R&D, and this isn't unheard of. This is very common with larger corporations. Why reinvent the wheel, right?
Exactly.
So to $169 million,
yes,
they think that's compared to what they think the profitability margin could be on this,
right?
They think it was worth $169 million.
Absolutely it was to them, and again, they see what the future is going to look like. Again, there'll still be demand for gasoline, for fossil fuels, diesel. There'll still be demand for it, but again, if all you're selling is that, and the reduction of engines or vehicles that are reliant upon that fuel source.
Yep.
You're basically just putting yourself in a corner, and you're painting yourself in a corner, and you're never going to get out. So with this acquisition, it makes them own and operate one of the largest public electric vehicle charging networks in the U.S. It's insane.
Volta, sorry.
Volta,
and
yeah.
Their plan is 500,000 charging points by 2025.
Insane, yeah.
Which is 2 years from now.
Yep.
And then, last time I checked, anyway, and then 5 years after that, 2.5 million charging points.
Yeah, that's insane. I saw that. It blew my mind.
Even Shell thinks this is going somewhere.
Yeah, and it will. It will. I got to keep saying this, though. I saw this, and someone said, and I've said it, you've heard me say it on this podcast before, the future is not electric. It is eclectic.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And that is the bottom line, guys. And this is my opinion. I think that we have to consider room for everything for this to work. I also think that, and we'll get into this a little later, we're going to talk about some EPA changes, is why we want to talk about it, that some of the requirements that they are pushing are just not, in my opinion,
reasonable. and honestly, Shell they don't care. They're kind of like the Michael Jordan of fueling stations, if you will. Hey, filling stations is going to maybe make a comeback, that term.
Look, yes, absolutely. Look who else just committed a lot of dollars, and this is no joke. Subway, the sandwich company, is committed to.
Well, they're everywhere. It's like
they're putting charging stations in.
I see them as like
7-Eleven.
The militant wing in the next Austin Powers movie. It's like Subway is the underground, evil empire.
I am telling you that somebody is listening to our podcast, because I know for a fact at least a year and a half to 2 years ago, I said that you're going to see the resurgence of drive-in restaurants that are going to have charging stations in place for you to charge your car and have a meal at the same time.
And I know for a fact that Subway is the perfect choice because if my family is listening to this, they're going to roll their eyes. It takes, 20 to 30 minutes for most of these chargers to get you a decent amount of charge, right? Meaning like it's not a 5-minute thing, right?
No, right.
Nobody takes longer to make a sandwich than Subway. And so you figure, hey, if I'm going to wait 20 minutes for my sandwich, you might as well plug in while you wait.
This is true, man. This is so true. It's perfect. But it makes
well
so
played,
much
Subway.
sense. Absolutely. Well played, 7-Eleven. I mean, there's another company who prides themselves on selling all this stuff and goods and gasoline, but hey, why not make it a better experience for even our electric vehicle friends?
But seriously, don't you want to know why I referred to Shell as the Michael Jordan of filling stations?
I do. I really do, man.
So Michael Jordan famously made a remark during his playing days with the Bulls. When the movie Air is out now, and I gotta see. I can't wait to see that.
Ben Affleck and what's his name?
Damon's in it. Matt Damon's in it.
That's Matt Damon. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they're buds, and Affleck had a production role, and he directed it, I think. Anyway, Michael Jordan famously said they were asking him to make a political stance based on a current event at the time.
Right.
And it was something along the lines of, well, Republicans buy shoes too, or Democrats buy shoes too, or something like that. Meaning, like, I'm not choosing sides because all these people spend green money. And Shell's the same. It's like, well, look, we don't care what you drive or how you fill it up, but they all need power or fuel. And so we're just going to have all of our bases covered, and y'all are just come on in. Right? I mean,
that's it.
Right?
That's exactly
y'all
right. Y'all
fight it out. We'll be over here with whatever you need.
Right. That's it. Perfectly said. We'll see. Hey, we're gonna see where this all washes out in about. I think I've been asked for the predictions. Would it happen by 2035 to be all electric? And I still say no. But I do think that in 10 years we will be having even a much broader discussion on this. And we've said it, batteries continue to be the leading factor in how well these vehicles will perform in the future and driving costs down. And a lot of these companies are bringing entry-level EVs in that are very they're cost effective for the consumer, for people who don't have $70,000-$80,000 to commit to a vehicle. I think even Tesla said it's going to be coming out with a smaller version of one of their sedans. I don't remember which one it was, but we know that Chevrolet is continuing to pump out vehicles that will be a entry level, and I think Ford is working on one too. So there's going to be you're going to have a demographic separation, if you will, just like you do now, like between luxury vehicles and purpose-built vehicles. And the purpose-built vehicles are those that need their vehicle to commute back and forth to work, not necessarily a luxury item to them. So I think that's why some people have had a hard time understanding why in the world anyone would buy, say, a $100,000 Hummer EV. And, they got to start somewhere. And they got to sell a lot of gas engines before they can only sell that too. So I think it kind of helps separate the market a little bit, and people will buy up stuff, and it'll help them liquidate a little bit. So, and again, the dealership model will look much differently in 10 years too. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's a good story. We're going to keep up on that with Shell and see. And hey, coming soon to a Shell station near you, guaranteed.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of tie-ins here. That kind of transition into a couple other big newsworthy topics. And we've got Dodge yet again making love them or hate them, man. They've been making the news cycles lately, which then ties into some EPA regulations that are right on the precipice of being a thing or not. I'm full of big words today, Jay. But this reminds me of a Tom Petty album. I don't know if I'm alone in this or not.
Torpedoes?
Well, I'm trying to remember the album, but it was. I remember I got it on disc, And there's this segment on the disc where he literally comes in full voice, not singing, and just says, "Hello, CD listeners. This is the point in the album where our tape listeners will have to stop and turn the tape over." And are you familiar with this, or am I?
Okay. No, I am familiar with it, and it's one of his later ones.
Okay.
It was not the earlier stuff. This is some of his later stuff.
Yeah. So we kind of got a situation like that coming up, and I think we just tie them together is the point I'm trying to make here. Okay, so I feel like this is as the stomach turns or Days of Our Horrible Lives or it's become a soap opera drama with Chrysler, Fiat.
Well, Carlos
Dodge,
Tavares has been, if anything, probably one of the most realistic automaker CEOs out there, just basically laying it out, about the transition from, ICE to EV, the reality of that and the cost involved in doing that. I mean, this is what we want to talk about today, right?
But then I think he gets pressure from the board, and he's like, all right, well, I'll say it differently then. Yeah.
Look. I mean, it makes more sense to me now. What we have been talking about, and like I said, if any of you guys have listened to our podcast before, specifically last week, our last podcast even, last episode, we talked about Mopar or Dodge in general being at the SEMA show with nothing but gasoline engine models. And we're like, what in the heck were they thinking when they just announced they're going all EV? This is great marketing. What's this all about? Well, at the end of the day, because of the cost to go all electric, you got to have something to help sustain that. And they realized that. I think that they're one of the automakers that realize that we're still a good 10 years away from really having a solid product out on the market. And then from all the changeovers that are kind of being forced, and these are from the pressures of the EPA, not just in the U.S., but global EPAs are pushing that narrative as well, that we need to go all EV. The pressure continues to roll in, but the realization is that it costs a lot of money to make that transition. So they are going to have to continue to sell internal combustion engine vehicles, rely on that, and market those well in order to offset the cost of the EVs. Period. And that's where it's coming from.
In true Parts Counter Gurus fashion, I have a couple solutions that I would like to offer at the end of this segment. So
I can't wait. I can't wait.
He's basically saying the cost of production of these electric vehicles is not price competitive to what they can deliver in a comparable ICE gasoline engine. Right? You want to go buy a Ram truck with a V8 Hemi in it that's, a half-ton pickup that you can get for $65,000. The EV equivalent of that is going to run you quite a bit more for the comparable product. In terms of the cost, their margins are way less on the electric stuff.
Right.
And he's not lying. I tend to believe that Ford and some of these other players, and Tesla, it's well known, they were taking a loss initially when they released for the first few years, their vehicles were priced, they were underwater.
Right.
So he's basically saying, like, we don't have this dialed in yet like we do gasoline engines, and we can't give you the bang for buck that we can on the gasoline side.
No.
And we can't do it at the level that we're being pushed to do it, meaning like the percentage of our fleet, the percentage of all vehicles that we sell is not going to be above 15, 20, 30% electric for the next few years, if not decade.
Right. Agreed.
More on that in a minute.
Yeah, and I think that the goalpost is going to have to continue to be moved. And I think that all this chatter, that you hear going on, what is it, the Inflation Recovery Act or whatever it is, which is part of this. They're pushing that, and guys, I'm telling you, you heard it here from us, we've always said it, we see that there's room in the future for a lot of electric vehicles. What's amazing to me is that how many have committed to this. I mean, we're flooding the market right now with electric vehicles. I can't imagine in 2 years what the percentage will be of say, electric to gas.
Well, I know what the percentage is this year.
Yeah.
I'll tell you in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Just keep listening.
But it's rapidly changing, and that's again why you see what we just talked about with say Shell on the them adding stations and a lot more stations popping up everywhere.
It's not as high as you think it is.
Oh, the percentage on vehicles.
That's all I'll say for now.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
You want to hear my solutions?
Yes, let's hear it.
All right, Carlos, everybody.
I'm telling you straight. It's my way or the highway. So anybody who wants to walk, do it now.
Okay, sorry, but seriously, a couple ideas that I have for you here as the best cooler in the business. And by the way, if you like any of these ideas, you can find us over on our website at partscounterguru.com. So option one, I'm going to give you two options here. Automotive executives. I'm
listening.
The first option is something that you've already started to go down the path for, and I hate you guys for this, but I will admit that it could potentially fund your EV development. You already know what this is. Jay does. It's the going back to the well. It's the monetization of services, the recurring revenue model, if you will, for these vehicles. So, for example, like BMW, heated seats. Like you want heated seats? Well, they're in the car. You just have to pay a monthly fee to unlock them. You put everything behind a paywall. And again, I hate you guys for doing this, but
yeah, it's awful.
I know it would help supplement your shortcomings on the production cost of the EV side. So you want to charge for these features, you do it, you figure out a way to make them cool like Apple does, and people will pay for it.
Right.
Couple bucks here, couple bucks there, $10 over there.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, you're writing a $75 extra check a month to Stellantis for all these features that you want. You want burnout mode, you got to unlock that on your Ford Mustang, whatever, and it's
right.
It's $15, $12 a month, whatever, right? So that's option one, okay?
Right.
Option two is a little bit more revolutionary because, as Jay likes to say, innovator go home. So I felt, I do my part to show up with something innovative. Start building modular automobiles. Jay, what was this you said earlier? The future is eclectic.
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty fitting. So, you watch a lot of these futuristic movies, and it's like, what kind of car is that? Like, it doesn't look like a Ford or a Dodge or a GM. I can't really tell.
Right.
It's kind of homogenized, right? So you build these modular automobiles where, hey, you want to swap out the first row? We've got an upgraded version with Versatilia seats. You just take it into the dealer. They unlock the module. The seats come out. The new seats go in. It's got all new cup holders. It's got an upgraded heated and cooled cup holder system. It's got, whatever. Same thing with the dash console. Make it modular. Just start going crazy with the modular capabilities, right? And so you replace sections or segments of these cars and trucks. And that way it's not, it's a little weird. It's not truly a 1999 model year anymore or 2023 model year. It becomes like, well, this was in 23, this is in 28, whatever. But you don't have to build the whole car again. You can just sell them a new front row of seats and the infotainment center and whatever, right?
Yeah,
Just saying.
I think that's a good point and a good discussion. And I think to some degree, like your GMs, GM has basically built their skateboard, like let's say Tesla has, which fits
you want
many.
You want a drivetrain, make it modular, right?
Right. You have a small, medium, large drivetrain, right, that are capable of having just a front wheel drive or just a rear wheel drive. Oh no,
Jay, you got to go Super XL Deluxe Extreme.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, you charge like an extra 25% overhead for
Right, but I see your point. And I think there's two ways that'll help make that happen. First, they got to continue to work on the battery technology, Keith. They've got to get the battery technology small enough and less volatile,
Right.
and give it more range. And I think we're close. I think there's a lot of technology out there that's getting us close. I mean, guys, this stuff is 2 years ago. Some of the things we're talking about today, we thought would have been 5 years out, but we're only 2 years from when we started talking about it. So this is kind of almost like artificial intelligence. Let's say AI, Chat GPT, and stuff. We got to tell you guys. I mean, this industry, the EV industry, is growing as fast as the tech industry is. Period. And they are kind of, if not truly, hand in hand with each other here.
Yep.
So we're seeing a massive revolution in technology, in industry, in the world right now as we speak, especially in this country. Now, here's one advantage that you have by all this, Keith, is that everybody out there, you know, that's like, oh man, I ain't buying it if it ain't made in America. Well, a lot of this stuff I think that you're going to start seeing more and more of this stuff being American made. I just feel that happening. It's already happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that kind of squashes we're going to lose our jobs from electric vehicles.
I think even that becomes homogenized. Like,
I do too.
You know, you have companies like General Motors partnering with LG to do their Ultium battery platform.
Right.
And they're building plants in the United States. And it's like some of it was R&D done in parts of Asia, and some of it was done here in the United States. And, you know, the American workers are going to work in an American plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee but, you know, it's kind of becomes a gray area, right? The whole made in China sticker, it's like, I don't know, man. It just becomes a little bit, the water is a lot muddier now.
It really is. But in a nutshell, guys, Carlos Tavares, CEO of Stellantis, was quoted as saying, that's the elephant in the room for everybody.
Yep.
The bottom line, the cost of electrification is so expensive. So for sure, we need to make sure that we protect the profitability of our current in-market internal combustion engine business to help fund the transition to electrification.
Which means all those expensive Hemis that you guys are buying that are custom limited edition, back to our previous podcast, we don't think those are going away. You're going to be able to buy those for another decade.
I think so. You might be buying them in limited runs, though.
Yeah.
Again, if you're buying them in limited runs,
it's the Sam's wholesale model. It's exclusivity that isn't exclusive. It's like, well, this year it's this color, and next year it's that color, and they're all unique in some way. But
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. So there you go. The truth be told.
Now the other side of that coin. Other side of that coin, and I'm jumping around a little bit on you here because I know we've got some Tesla news. But before we get to the Tesla news, can I throw you a curveball here?
Absolutely.
Jump to the EPA stuff?
Absolutely, we can.
So we've got this regulatory stuff that's in the pipeline under the current United States presidential administration. They're fans of it, and they've been vocal publicly about that. And the EPA is trying to push the automotive manufacturers like Stellantis, like Ford, like all of them, to get their EV production to 50% by 2032.
Right.
No, actually, I think it's in the 70th percentile by 2032.
Ooh. Okay, that's right, because it was by 2027 or 2028 in that time frame is when they expect to be around 50%.
Yeah, so the automotive manufacturers are coming back going, whoa, like we're not even sure we can get to that 50% mark.
Right.
And like I know you guys are EV crazy and we're seeing lots of EVs on the road today, but the data is out now and less than 7% of the automotive sales in the past year, Jay, have been electric. That includes Tesla. That includes all automotive manufacturers. Less than 7% are EVs. Now, look, we've said many times on this show, people blast us, you guys are EV fans, you're all... Nah. This is a great example of how we're just agnostic, we're reporting the facts, right? The automotive manufacturers are coming out and saying, we cannot hit this number. And I am a big fan of the way that Optima Jim from Optima Batteries said this. By the way, I've got to get a new battery for my FJ. The dealer completely missed that it was
Jim. Are you hearing that?
Yeah, right. I'm gonna get an Optima. The dealer was like, battery's fine. And I took it to my guy, and he's like, yeah, the battery's weak. And I already knew that. But I do this. Like, I just don't say stuff, and I see what they say, and if they catch it. Anyway, I digress. Before I get all these haters for calling it a dealership. Optima Jim said, you don't want your congressional leaders making policy. Mm-mm. You want that to come from your innovation teams, your R&D teams, your automotive manufacturing people, your visionaries. Let them figure out the right way, the best way to do it.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And the problem that we have here and what the EPA is trying to do, or at least that I can see being a problem, is they're just trying to go tell the automotive industry, hey, here's a date on the calendar we're circling, and you need to be at 50% by that date, and then you need to be at 70-something% by the next date. And the automotive industry is like, we can't afford, like the previous segment, like Carlos Tavares, Stellantis CEO said, we can't afford to do that. You're going to bankrupt our company.
Absolutely. And then you also, are you going to have companies like we've seen in the past, like Volkswagen with the Dieselgate, where they're adjusting the vehicles to pass those emission standards just for the sake of putting it out on the market, and they get slapped with these, billions of dollars in fines for doing that. I think that the EPA must realize, and look, politicians, you guys, we get what you're doing up there. You're representing the public and everything, but I'm pretty sure that you guys don't know as much about vehicles as we do. So I'm just saying, and so you need to educate yourself on that. I mean, I just witnessed the banter between the CEO of TikTok and people up in Washington go back and forth. Some of the comments that was coming out of their heads about the internet just and you want to be my latex element.
I love Twitter, right, Jay? It's kind of my Twitter, I'm not a social media guy, but I'll do Twitter because it's entertaining.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
So Marquez, MKBHD YouTuber, famous
Love
YouTuber,
the guy.
right?
Yeah. Love the guy. Yeah.
He tweets during that whole situation that's going on. He's like, we're witnessing tech support in real time right now. Meaning you have a congressional person that has no clue what the heck they're talking about, as became obvious. Yeah. And you have the CEO of TikTok trying to explain to this person in layman's terms, almost on a tech support level, yes, your Wi-Fi is used in our app because your Wi-Fi has to be used to connect to the internet. I mean, it's insane. Yeah. So do you want to get into the specifics of this EPA thing, or I've got them up here. It's up to you.
We can, but what I want to say about this, and we'll get into it, is that just understand that a lot of what we are dealing with today, the emission standards that they're trying to put on us, they've tried to put on us before, okay? The EPA has. But they've had to continue to move the goalposts because it is obvious that the manufacturers can't meet some of these demands. It's not realistic. I mean, you put them out of business. The costs that are required just for R&D alone to reach some of these goals that Keith's going to get into is unbelievable. It can bankrupt a company to get there. What we saw in the early 2000s with the On-Highway Act that came into play for diesel engines, being in the industry, in the rebuilding side of the industry, engine rebuilding side of the industry, what we witnessed was people in the industry scrambling, trying to figure out why things were not working as well as they were before. That's because they introduced, low sulfur diesel, then ultra low sulfur diesel, and all this sort of stuff. It's very similar to what happened with removing lead out of gasoline and going to unleaded fuel. Out of that developed a whole new market for valve seat inserts on the cylinder heads because the valve seating area that were cast in the head could not handle the lack of lubricity going on there. So that's real-time data that can only happen in a massive amount of data production. The consumer, unfortunately, is the ones that has to be the guinea pig here to deal with all this stuff. So what the point that I'm trying to make here is that just because what you hear today does not mean that is what's going to be there tomorrow.
Well, and we're going to give you there is a public hearing, and we'll have a chance to voice your opinion. We'll give you that information here in just a minute. So whatever side of this you're on, we're going to tell you how to support your side. Oh boy. Okay, so I went to the executive summary because this gets really wordy. I forget how many pages it was, but this just came out.
Oh.
We're looking at the actual document from the EPA because Jay found it. So this isn't some third-party hearsay. This is the EPA saying this is what we're going to do, and it's going to impact 2027 model year and later light-duty trucks and automobiles, cars, right?
Right.
And so basically they're not saying... Here's what they're not saying. They're not saying, well, you got to go electric.
By the way, 758 pages.
Oh, yeah. You can see why I went right to the executive summary, because I was like, I'm not...
Yeah.
Okay. But what they're doing is they're making the emissions requirements so strict that it's going to be equally as expensive to R&D and produce this on the internal combustion side as it would be to just go EV. So they're kind of indirectly forcing them to go EV.
Right.
Now look, I'm not saying that automotive emissions aren't a problem, that pollution isn't an issue. I agree that we should try to do better. You know, it isn't zero emissions. There's exhaust coming out of that tailpipe that has chemicals in it and gases in it. I get that. But unless you can afford to pay $150,000 for transportation, there's got to be a happy medium here, right? And so if they do something crazy like they're trying to do, it's pretty extreme, and it's going to force this issue to the point where, at least for a few years, the automotive manufacturers are going to be like, they're just going to have to just pay the fines, and they're going to put that cost right into the sticker of the car.
Absolutely, that's what's going to happen. But that, or they will have to move the goalposts again.
And used car sales will go back up.
Right.
So good job on that.
Right, absolutely. And my point to that was, when I was saying, is that you're going to see that happen. I mean, the On-Highway Act started in 2000. I mean, they were bringing that up back in the mid-'90s. And their goal was to put it in place in 2000s, but they realized that they couldn't make everybody do it at once, so they were doing it in phases. So that's why on the diesel market, like the agricultural side, you saw Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 engines, and they were all trying to meet the compliance of the EPA. My personal thought on this is that I think that the EPA needs to look at, and again, what I said, the future's not electric, it's eclectic. And this is a big part of this. There is a place for everything, right? So I think that where the biggest impact that we're going to have from an electric vehicle is commuters in larger cities like in LA or New York City, where you not only have a large commuter traffic, you also have just, cabs, Uber, just rideshare stuff in general. So you've got this huge amount of traffic that's creating this huge amount of pollution or emissions going on in that specific city. That ain't happening in Omaha, Nebraska, man. It's not happening. It's not happening in Clarksville, Tennessee.
And by the way, just because you plug a car in to charge it up doesn't mean that there are zero emissions when that energy is created.
So don't let them blow the emissions up your ass here, if I can pull that one out. And it's the truth, man. It's because I think that we need to be focusing on where it's most important and most effective. If you want to pass a law that says that we need to be all electric by 2035 in LA, I can see that happening. I can see that doable. But across the board, in Podunk, Indiana, or you understand what I'm saying? A car running down the road in a very rural part of this country is not causing a whole heck of a lot of harm to the environment, guys. I'm sorry. And I would love for someone to come on and tell me that I'm wrong. But as with anything, like pouring a small amount of something into water if there's a large enough amount of water, the dilution factor comes into play. And that's exactly what happens when it comes to emissions. It's still carbon and stuff getting put out, these carbon emissions.
Yeah, they're going after CO2 is the big one.
Right,
and,
right.
and they want to reduce, there's 3 main emissions.
Yeah.
And I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist. Some of this stuff is like, I know what it is, but I'm not going to talk about it and make myself look dumb.
Right.
But the bottom line is the percentage of reduction that they're trying to reach out of CO2, out of some of these other ones. I mean, how much more blood can you squeeze out of this turnip? If you want them to drop it 20, 30% more and reduce the carbon emissions by another 20 or 30%, yes, there have been technological advancements that are helping improve the reduction in emissions and get cleaner air, but not 30% in 5 years.
You're going to have a different type of fuel source, man.
Right.
I mean, hydrogen, if you want an internal combustion engine, hydrogen truly is, when it's tuned correctly and supercharged, you can get it to be zero emissions. We saw a fine example of that. Speaking of Jim at Optima Batteries again, he took us a walk around and told us about the old pickup truck that was there that was a 6.2 liter GM, supercharged GM, that was zero emissions running on hydrogen.
Yep.
It sounds great too, by the way. I just saw a recent post from a friend of ours in the industry, from Total Seal Piston Rings, which is, golly, man, I'm drawing a blank, man. He's going to kill me.
Lake Speed Jr.
Lake Speed Jr. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Gee whiz. If you guys don't know who Lake Speed Jr. is, please go find him and watch him. He's amazing at what he does. So anyway, Lake, thinking about you, buddy. But anyway, he was had a nice piece on that. But I think that hydrogen, yes, can do that. It'd be a way to go. But when it comes to gasoline engines, again, like I said, I mean, they are maxed out almost already. Literally, the percentage of emissions that they put out, they're pretty damn efficient, man. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Right now as we speak. So the improvements that we've made just in the past 10 years to emission controls, and then also changing up the fuel and, just doing a few different things, tuning them to perfection, going to direct injection. I mean, obviously a lot of those things have effects on the engine and their performance overall, longevity of an engine. All that stuff plays into it. But still, you're right. I mean, it's almost like we're at the point where GM was with the Corvette, the front engine Corvette.
It's kind of reached
it reached its limits.
Potential,
I mean, what else can we do? Well, okay, let's put a mid-engine in now.
Right.
Nobody liked that idea, but boy, they sure love it now, right? Holy
I mean, look, when you get to a point where you're getting close to 1,000 horsepower out of some of these engines and, Dodge is doing it, I mean, you're there. Like, look, this is stupid. Like, how much better can your 0 to 60 time get? And there's a point here where you're pinned so hard to the seat that you can't control the car anymore anyway.
That's
so
right.
Now you're in fighter jet territory. I mean, you're pulling G's.
True. It's true, man.
And honestly, then you have to talk about reaction time and giving that car to someone that maybe not capable of controlling it with those kinds of quick acceleration speeds. And, that's why that Trans Am in Smokey and the Bandit was such a powerful car back in its day. Mm-hmm. And so many of them ended up wrapped around trees because people bought them and they were like, I can't control it. I mean,
right.
That car was chosen to be in that movie for a reason. And the reason was it was a really fast car back in its day.
Yeah, it was pretty badass.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Still is to this day.
And it was very hard to control because it was kind of a sled, It was. Yeah.
And I mean, I knew guys that were dropping 396s in those things too, man. It got pretty crazy back in those days, man, with friends of mine.
I mean, a quarter mile, great, as long as there's no turns or, Yeah.
Right, just straight, man. Keep it straight. Lock it in. But yeah, guys, I mean, I would be paying attention to this, and you do have an opportunity. Keith, can we leave maybe a link to?
Yeah, so we have a great place for you all to find this. It's called Mentioned on the Podcast, and you can find that on our website at partscounterguru.com or partscountergurus.com. We don't care. We own them both, everybody. Mm-hmm. We're one and the same. So you can go hit our website, and we have a mentioned on the podcast tab. Click on that. We do it by episode. We usually match it up to the name of the episode. So if you look down at your podcast player, whatever the name is on this episode, if you find that, you'll find the link, and you can go post your thoughts and feedback. And this will go directly to the EPA. Jay's giving me a power to the people sign. And yeah, you tell them what you think. Does it say anything, Jay, here about when that comment period is?
Let me look at this. It seems like I did see that.
There's a hearing in May. It's May 9th and 10th. So you might want to get your comments in at the very least before that hearing.
I would definitely say that be the case. Let me go here. Proposed rule. Yeah. I don't see. The hearing is scheduled for May 9 and 10.
Yeah, just hurry up and get them in, everybody. And you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. The additional session may be held on May 11th, is what they're saying. So May 9, 10, and 11th, be very aware of that. We'll have this on our website under the mention on the podcast tab, and you can check that out. But yeah, that's and you know it again. This is something worth looking into. And don't stop there, guys. You can go to the performance. Actually, you can just go to the SEMA website, and you're going to you'll see a tab up there that says the RPM Act, which is affected by this heavily. The racing industry is affected by this heavily. The repair industry is affected by this heavily. That RPM Act was introduced, and it's made a lot of great headway. So go on over and support and vote for that as well. And you can reach out at SEMA.org, I think, is the website. So,
yep, that's right.
There you go.
So 2 more things before we get out of here, Jay. And
okay.
I'm gonna stir up some controversy.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Here's who's not going to have to worry about any of these new regulations or fleet sale numbers or light truck sale numbers in particular. Tesla. True. You know why? Because we're 5 years on now since Elon Musk announced the Cybertruck, and I'm still waiting for him to show up.
Yeah, but you know what, too, though? I mean, I brought this up. I mean, I think they just need to scrap the whole thing and start all over.
I mean, okay,
Are you with me on that?
So when the first couple of years we were doing this, there wasn't a podcast episode that went by that we didn't mention either Tesla or Elon Musk for a good while. You remember that?
Right. I do.
And in true BCG form, we've sort of stayed agnostic. We've been fans of innovation. When he does something cool, we talk about it. When he does something newsworthy, we talk about it. When dumb things happen, we talk about those. For an executive of a company to come out and premiere a product like this Cybertruck and fail on stage with the whole glass window breakage thing, but then fail in delivery, dude, what are you doing? You showed people this 5 years ago, and you freaking can't bring it to market. Like, that is horrible.
It is. It's
you
bad.
have lost my confidence completely.
I feel something about this is intentional.
What in the world? This is not you are. And anybody that's like, oh, Elon's no, there is no way that he is this smart. That you might be right, Jay, but some of this is happenstance. Some of this is circumstantial.
Right. I mean, we know some of the pitfalls that have been in place. Obviously, I mean, Elon's taken a lot of flack too.
But 5 years? 5 years.
5 years. When other companies like Ford and Rivian are doing actually quite well.
That's how that's a good point. You shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
You announced this product a year or two before any of the other major players got involved. Yeah. They took note and they beat you to the finish line.
They did. Guess who else beat you, Elon? Guess who else beat you? Lordstown. With
God.
All of their 9 vehicles.
The butt of all jokes has a truck that...
And you don't.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty bad, no doubt. And like I said, now we've seen it change from the original stance that it had, and we all thought it was futuristic and cool back 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Now, honestly, to me, it looks like something my cat puked up or something. Man,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really just ugly as hell. The only reason, I got to say this. I see someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger maybe buying one of these. Why? Because it's ugly and he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I could see that happening, but I just don't see the attractiveness of this thing.
Short of a Back to the Future revival.
Yeah.
Which made the DeLorean cool.
Right.
Well, the DeLorean was cool, but it made it iconic.
The DeLorean was it was a different animal. This is just,
I don't see this. No. Whatever momentum you had, Elon, it was definitely a conversational topic. Mm-hmm. You've lost that. People have moved on, man.
Can I do a thing real quick here?
Yeah, do your thing, man.
Okay. Hey, Elon, is this thing on? Hey, Elon, you know I'm right, and you can come on our show and you can prove me wrong. But you're not making this baby, are you? You're not going to make it looking like this, are you? You know you're not. Come on our show and prove me wrong. There you go. Yeah. Ain't happening.
Yeah. Maybe in another 2 or 3 years, but not next year.
But it won't look like this.
Yeah, there'll be more changes. And
if it looks anything like this, he's going to lose his ass.
Those wheels, oh my God, what?
Well, for those wheels, and I did a little research on that, they're there for a purpose, okay? There's a lot of technology that are mounted to this vehicle to real-time test the suspension, turning radiuses, performance overall, just that sort of stuff. Those steel wheels had to be used specifically for the test. So those are not the wheels that would be production wheels. They're specially designed wheels that they could do this. I did the research on that. But even still, if it had the fanciest set of wheels on it, I can't see this thing being attractive to.
Just explain this to me. Explain this to me, please.
Okay. All right.
And I'm serious. I mean this. Okay. This company, talking about Tesla, has revealed and unveiled and released multiple models of vehicles at this point.
Mm-hmm.
The Model X was their second big unveiling. That took some time to get into production, but just a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Model 3, Model Y, so on. Okay. Each one a new product line. Why can't they get this done? It's not their first car. It's not their first rodeo.
No.
What?
And I want you to think about this too, Keith. Appealing to the eye. Are not all those models from the word go, and still are, with minor improvements over the years to the body style?
Sure.
Really good looking. Who in his design team, came up with this thought that this thing would
But you have to let the sales numbers determine that. You have to put it out there and let that be decided by, the free market, right?
Right.
Not bringing it to market because you're not sure it will sell.
Well,
isn't even you didn't even try at this point. You just gave up and went home.
No.
Well, then stop R&D if that's the case. Stop doing stuff like this where we see it still out there being tested in R&D.
Do you remember the old commercial about ugly trucks? You remember it?
No.
Okay, well, this is the poster child of that. Don't you buy no ugly truck.
Oh, now I do. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, here you go. Here's your ugliest truck on the market ever.
What is it?
EV.
What is it? Like, if it's like propulsion system, okay, well,
I see. You're not gonna follow me on how ugly the damn thing. All that other stuff doesn't matter to me if it's not appealing to me. But you're right. What is it? What technology is holding them back? What is it? I think that what they're doing. They're gathering data. So I think they're close to some production here
for 4 years.
I really do think that they're close, and here's why.
They got two people testing these things. What is going on, man?
Right. Well, there's a reason why he moved to Texas, man. He's got a big farm of Tesla Cybertruck sitting out there somewhere, man. They're just hauling hay around and stuff like that. Just see how well it's real time work truck. But no, it has what the wiring and those wheels are. Those are wheel force transducers, and they're designed for the use in development and testing of complete chassis and chassis components on different vehicles. So during the measurement, a wheel force transducer replaces a standard wheel and measures the forces and moments acting on the tire contact patch. So there you go. That's why it looks the way it looks right now. But still, it's ugly.
Still, yeah.
But they're
still haven't sold one. Yeah.
But because of that, tells you that they are still gathering data on this thing, and they could be miles and years away from it. I don't know. But he says they're going to be in production, say, not delivering until 2025 in this particular.
I mean, what kind of a like encyclopedia salesman? Like, can you imagine these board meetings? Like, what's the excuse this quarter?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be like, dude, where's my damn Cybertruck?
Right. Now, did they open up reservations and then close it and then give people money back or what? Or
I mean,
you know, I don't know either. But I still say this is not the last time we're going to talk about the Cybertruck. Excuse me. I think it will. Hell, it's even giving me indigestion talking about it. I just don't think it will look exactly like this when we get it. No vehicle usually does pre-production, but
it's already got mirrors on it, which it didn't have side mirrors, which it didn't have previously. That's a highway transportation safety thing. You got to have that. Yeah.
God, man, Elon, dude, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah,
this is ugly.
I'm done with this guy. I'm kind of done. I'm done with this guy. Like, I don't believe he can save Twitter. I'm done with him.
My question is this, Elon, did you come up with this design in your head while you were smoking that doobie on the Joe Rogan show?
On Joe Rogan show.
Is that where he smoked that joint?
Yeah.
Live on air?
Yeah. On his Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah.
Good stuff, huh? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so good luck with that, Elon. We are still still waiting, buddy. And we'll be glad to cover it if it ever comes out. And good luck selling it, man.
This is the CEO equivalent of puking on your shoes at a party and then just hanging out at the party, acting like you haven't puked on your shoes.
Right.
And everybody knows there's puke on your shoes.
And still drinking with a cocktail.
You're still hanging around. And you need to go home and clean those shoes off and get your together.
That's it.
Okay.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So there you have it. Wow. All right. On to a better piece of news.
Yeah.
I think our Ford Mustang friends will really, 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 really appreciate it. Ford just announced late last month, early this month, that the Mustang configurator is live. And that the new 2024 Mustang base starts at around $33,000, that includes destination charges, which really in reality when the Mustang first came out, it's not that much more than that. So I think they've kind of kept the cost down to a reasonable amount. The GT model, where did I see that at, man? It was
43090.
43090.
It's like I knew you were going to go there, Jay.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, of course we're that way. We have the power, man. But then the dark horse will be well above the $75,000.
Yeah. So I actually like what they're doing here.
I do too.
If they can figure out a way, this is like Henry Ford version 2 of the assembly line. Mm-hmm. You know, Henry Ford he revolutionized the assembly line. In many ways, it's still in use today, although there's a lot more robotics involved. But if we can improve, if we can learn from the problems they had with the Bronco and all the orders there and the huge delays in the Bronco Mountain and Bronco Desert and Bronco Snowmageddon and whatever else they're calling that massive parking lot this season. If we can figure out a way to ramp up production time once the order happens, I see this as being the path forward. I see the assembly line turning into special order only. Like, gone are the days in the near future of, there's 20, 30, 40 different variations of a 6-cylinder Mustang made, probably more than that when you start adding color in. Mm-hmm. And then you go to a lot and you try to find one in a dealer network or whatever. Right. I see it being, let's not go fishing. Let's not make one until it's actually spoken for.
True.
And if they can ramp up their production to a point where they can build it within a time frame that's acceptable, a couple months. Right. I see this being the way forward. 6 months or more is not going to fly. People aren't going to wait. They're just short attention span here. We got TikTok and YouTube Shorts, man. People aren't in it for more than 30, 40 seconds.
Yep. The configurator is a key component to making that very attractive. Because it will allow you to build one to your heart's content without having to slap down any money to do that. So it's great marketing, and I think that this is the new model. Yeah. I think you're absolutely correct on that, Keith. That's a great point. What else does it do? It helps these types of vehicles survive a little longer and not completely throw it away. I think everybody just assumed that when Ford brought the Mach-E out that was the end of the Ford Mustang itself, the traditional Mustang, and it's just not the case. Just have faith in some of these companies out there that you're going to still see some of these fun things coming across the board. Now,
and the big concept here that they're going to have to maybe reverse course on is your whole JIT just in time, like Toyota loves to do. Yeah. Because you got to have parts sitting around to assemble these, right? So if there's 5 different versions of some metal that goes into Ford notoriously offers, you've already mentioned, various engines in these Mustangs. Right, you got to build those engines. Some of them are mostly assembled, but there's metals. The metallurgy is the biggest component, right? And it's most of those metals are produced in factories in where?
In
China.
What? Yeah,
China, South America, right?
China is China, Asia. Period.
Let's just go overseas, okay?
Well, it depends though, man. Because there's a lot of that stuff getting produced south of us. Down in South America.
Well, it's still overseas.
Still overseas.
Panama Canal, technically, whatever, right?
But you're correct. The abundance of the metals are coming out of it. Yes.
They're shipped in the truest sense of the word. Mm-hmm. And that takes time. It takes months. And so the months factor is the biggest factor in the delay of these vehicles being assembled. Those components are showing up off a boat, brought into a staging warehouse, and they're put together, right?
Right.
And so they're not going to be able to do the JIT model where they order the stuff, have it show up at their door in a week, and then they start building your car. They're going to have to start warehousing these components. But I still think it'll work for them.
I do too. Even the higher production versions of these Mustangs, they still have the same DNA that the GT, about the only differences are going to be, maybe the engine and then some suspension components. But like you said, the volume parts, like the panels and such, like you're talking about, yes, absolutely. I think it makes it easy for them, man. And what they've also done here too, though, is they have reduced the number of paint options, which also helps them. It's like, let me give you an analogy in a way. When you go to a restaurant and they throw a menu down in front of you and you start flipping through this thing and it has
I like this.
4 or 5 different, it's just like something's not going to be right with this when I get my meal. What is I want to order the most popular item on the menu, because I think that they're probably better prepared to create that for me and me enjoy that rather than go back on page number 10.
And yet, Many of the meals on that page in that section are using some of the same ingredients.
Well, this is true, but the ones that make it better are your restaurants that put down a single page menu in front of you, and what is in front of you takes the ingredients that they have on hand. It makes it more efficient. It makes the ability to be able to produce a quality product because you're continuously refining the process.
Yep.
So your experience, your meal is going to be dead on practically every time, and it should be good unless something in the back changes. And so it's kind of like that with this, is that so we give you less choice. We can produce this thing, and them getting it to delivery in a timely manner is probably more doable than
you know what got me thinking about this, oddly enough, was I ordered a musical instrument mouthpiece a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the company's out of Portland, Oregon. And it's all metal. It's completely milled out of a single piece of metal. All right. And I've got a lot of these. I've had a lot of them through the years. I'm not going to go into what it's for. It doesn't matter. But the point I'm trying to make here is it's metal. Remember that, okay? Because Jay, have a lot of experience with metals and metallurgy, okay? Right. And you probably know, if I were to show you a picture of this, where it's being made, okay? And so the guy comes back to me and he's like, well, honestly, for what you want, it's really the most common one we sell. Like, it's the most popular, hands down. Not even a close second. Isn't even. It's 3 times more we sell of these than the close second.
Right.
Okay. He's like 10 weeks plus. 10 weeks to get a mouthpiece that's this big, made out of one piece of metal. What's that tell you? It's being made in China. They're waiting. Literally, they're not putting the order in until I pay for it.
Right.
And then they wait for it to come across the ocean. And this is a company that's been around since the 80s.
Right. But now, too, they still are dealing with, delivery issues just because of the continuous shutdowns here in China.
But wouldn't you, this is the JIT comment, wouldn't you have a supply of those on hand?
Used to be the model, yeah. If
Because
this is not upsetting a production environment, then it makes sense for the seller. If you are a company that has a contract with a high production piece, then JIT comes in really handy because it is exactly what it is, just in time, and we're going to get there just in time to keep the production rolling. But the thing that I'm saying is that if they're not physically producing this, they're just a parts supplier, but maybe they do have access to where the production is.
It's stamped with their.
But the thing is that they're not going to allocate pieces from production when they have to meet the demand in order to get that out.
Yeah, I know.
That's why. So it's a different animal, Seriously, it is. Even though it's the same piece, it's still. When you don't mess up production, man, you're getting hefty fines, especially in the automotive world.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, what's making this work for Ford is the fact that these vehicles have the same DNA basically as the standard high production vehicles, and with a few swaps, tweaks here and there, they can put these things out, and you can personalize it again to your heart's content. And again, they've reduced some things that are available. Like, for example, they're not even offering a green color vehicle. Color is a choice. It's red, black. I think there's four or either 5 blues, maybe. I think there might be a gray, but there is no green. There is a red, which is a beautiful red. Racing red or something like that is what they call it. I forget, but anyway, it's a great idea for Ford. I think this is how you keep the heart of the Mustang fan alive.
Yeah.
What, man?
Well, plus it's it's perfect timing because, the Camaro's going to be discontinued and this looks just like the previous there you go.
Well, what it actually looks like, I don't know who stole what, but I don't know who stole what, but the BMW
or the BMW.
series.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. So, there you go. Don't make them Ford people mad, man. lay off them GM people too.
All right.
Will you?
All right, sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Ford's available. Go buy one. Ford Mustang's available. Go buy one. You can get it in 2024. So there you go. Delivery will be happening. Go ahead and order your special version and put a Knight Rider sticker on it. Who knows?
Only if it's the black
Make it a
one.
kit.
Yeah.
Make it a kit.
Yeah.
We got enough technology out there to make that thing look like kit, right? Don't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. All right, man. So, gosh, man, I got to say thanks to everybody for listening. This is great. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy watching. If you're watching the video version of this, make sure you subscribe again and make sure you please leave us reviews and comments and all that sort of good stuff. Thank you so much. Follow us on socials. We're on every platform out there. You can find us. You can go to one stop to get to everywhere, and that is go to partscountyguru.com. Up in the top right-hand side of the page, you'll see all of our little social icons, and Keith's got some fancy buttons up there for you to have quick access. And sure, there's an Amazon tab there. Go buy yourself some Amazon stuff. Click that tab, and it helps us out.
Backed by popular demand.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, pal. Take us out.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for making us a part of your lives, as always. For my pal Jay over there, I'm Keith. You're over there. Yeah, you're over there. In the words of Bruce Lee, be like water. See you on the next one.